Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I will be discussing about different types of exception. In my previous video, I have already discussed what is exception, how to handle the exception, and then what is the advantage of handling exception. If you're not handling exception, what will happen? So in this video, I will be also discussing. So we have two types of exception. Built-in exception is a type of exception where is already this type of exception is already created and they are already raised by the Python itself. So what do we have to do regarding them? We only have to handle them. And then we have user-defined exception. And user-defined exception, they're the type of exception that we ourselves have to create them, have to raise them, and have to handle them. So let us get into built-in exception and give an example. So what is a value error? What type of exception is this? So this value error is a type of exception whenever we want to convert a number from one type to another type. For example, see, if I say number, I say input, enter a number. And then see, whenever number is given, I will convert that number to integer here. So that's it. Now see, if I give 12 is actually this input function will accept the string. Later on it will convert to integer and it will store inside now. See, it is okay, it's working. But if I run it and I want to give it like this, can this one change this one to integer? No. So this value error will happen. So value error. So how to handle this one? It is so easy. We will write the code which is causing this one inside this one, and then we will say except, and then we will give the name of error, which is nothing but value error, and then we can use argument also as a e, and then we will just print this one. So it will cause the remaining code to be executed like this. So this is how we will handle it. See, so value error, see, this is wrong, so that's why it's still causing exception. See, invalid literal. And instead of crashing the program, it will give a nice message that invalid literal is given. So the next one is a type error. See, sometimes whenever we want to add two number, so we have to always add two integer. For example, if we will say 12 plus 9, it is working. But if I'm giving one integer and one string, so what will happen? This will give type error because it is incompatible type. It cannot add 12 with JJJ. If they were both a string, so what it was doing, it may be concatenating them, but they're not string. So one is integer, one is a string. So this is called type error. This we have to handle this one also. Index error, when you are having a list or array and you're giving an index that does not exist. Key error is usually happening when you have a dictionary. For example, if this is our dictionary is D, and then we have, for example, key A, and its value is 12. So now if I say print me D and with the key A, it will give me 122. But if I say a key that doesn't exist, so B is not existing, this is called key error. Zero division error is happening when our denominator is zero, and name error is happening when there is a name error. For example, whenever I want to write print function, but I'm just writing P with capital letter. See, this is called name error. So we have to handle all of them. So there is a generalization. Generalization means any type of exception that happens, this line of code must be able to handle it. So what we will do now here, the way that I have done is not generalization. I'm saying if value error is happening, you have to handle here like this. But see, now if I am giving result is equal to, for example, result is equal to, I will say 100 divided by 0. So this will not be able to, I will say, for example, 10, 100, see, zero division error will occur. So although we have handle, but this handlation is only for value error, but it's not for zero division. If you want to generalize it, then you will say exception. So exception means any type of exception that comes, I'm able to handle it. Since it's generalization, it's saying any type of exception that comes, this is the solution. Now see zero division, it's saying this exception has occurred. Since here I have given the denominator as 0. Now let's come and discuss about user-defined exception. So what about user-defined exception? So user-defined exception is a type of exception that we will be able to create our own exception by ourselves. So for this one, let's get a scenario. For example, if we have a function called withdraw for banking system, and it is asking us two things. It is asking our balance and then the amount that we want to withdraw from the bank. and later on it will reduce BALAN balance is equal to balance minus amount, because when you're withdrawing the money, it must be reduced from your balance. And then later on I will just print that you have withdrawn this much money. For example, you withdraw, for example, this much money, and now your balance is, for example, how much it is. So I will be using now BALANCE, and here I will say amount, and I will be using formatted string so that it should not print itself, it's print its value. Now I will call this function. I will say withdraw, and I will give it two parameters. I will first give balance. For example, your balance is 1000 rupee and you want to withdraw 900. It's okay, there is no issue. Withdraw 900, and now your remaining balance is 100 rupee. But now the problem is I have 1000 rupee, and if I want to withdraw 9000, see, I have you withdraw 9000, now you have minus 8000. Is this possibility in the bank? Can we do like this? No. So this is how I need to raise an exception. So I will say, if the amount that you want to withdraw is greater than balance, I have to raise an exception that this is not possible, insufficient budget, insufficient money. So this is the place that I need to create my own exception. That's why this exception does not exist previously. So now let us go on how to create exception. So whenever we want to create exception, all exceptions are class. So I have to create a new class. And the second thing, my class must inherit from exception class. So exception class is the base class. So my class that I want to create, the exception that I want to create, must be child of this exception class. And then after creation of this class, I have to rise by myself. So previously in built-in exceptions, they had already created the class, they had inherited from exception class, and they were rising it. So what we had to do, we had to only handle. But whenever we are going to write ourselves the exception, we have to create the class, we have to inherit from exception class, we have to rise it, and finally we have to handle it. Now let's go and discuss it, how we can do these things. First, we will say class. So this, the name of class is, it depends on us. I will say, I will just put a name as a insufficient budget. Insufficient budget. So this is the name of class. And the second name is must be the child of exception class. So this is the line number 2. Now let us get into the class and create its constructor. We know that in Python, the name of constructor is always in it, and it has always a self parameter. So we will give a message also. We will just print a message. We will say self dot message is equal to message. That's it. This is nothing but creating of an exception class. That's it. Now when you are creating this one, now we have to rise it. We will rise it. We will come here inside the function. We will say if amount that you want to withdraw is greater than the balance that you have. If this is the case, rise. What should I rise? Rise this exception. Rise that insufficient budget. And give a message. This message will say no enough money. So we do not have this much money. This is called rising. If this is the case, rise the exception. If this is not the case, so in else part we can say withdraw the money, and there is no issue with that. So if this is not the case, just I will come here. So this is how I'm rising the exception. First I created the exception, now I'm rising it. Now let us run the code again. I have not handled it. I want to just give an example of how this is going to work. I'm going to just run this one now. See, now it's saying insufficient budget. Now it became like a built-in exception. But why? Because I have not handled it yet. I have to handle this one. See, now if I'm going to withdraw, for example, 100 rupee, there is no issue. It is working. But if I'm giving to more than this one, it will give insufficient budget, because this is exception that we have to create it also. We have raised it also. Now I have to handle it. How can we handle? Since this line of code will cause me the exception, I will put it inside try block. And then I will say, if this is the case, I will say except. Then I will put the name of class. What is the name of class? The name of exception is insufficient budget. Control V. I will use the argument as a E. Then I will just print this one. Print E. See? now not enough, no enough money. See, inside insufficient money, I can put exception also, because exception is the father of this one. It will not create any issue for me. So this is how, when I'm going to create an exception, first I have to create the exception, I have to inherit it from exception class, then I have to raise the exception, and finally I have to handle the exception. This is how build user-defined exception are working. In built-in exception, we had to only handle it, but in user-defined, we have to handle, we have to rise, and we have to create the exception. So this was about user-defined exception and built-in exception. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe the channel. And finally, thanks for watching.